We're in the midst of a nonviolent overthrow of our country, our government and our nation. It's an immediate threat, and that we've got to lay aside our differences and all work the same direction at the same time. Now, a couple of things that we thought were important for us, that would be lay aside our differences. Yeah. Now, a couple of things that we thought were important. Even though this is a loose coalition, and we all don't want it to infringe on what we're doing. I'm the president of the Asheville Buncombe Tea Party, 912 group, and we have specific things that we're doing. See, and I don't want this group to tell me what to do in that specific thing, but I do want that group to move in the same direction that the Haywood County 912 group is doing, or your Tea Party group, or whatever. See, we all want to move the same direction. We want to do the same thing at the same time, is what I'm saying.
You can still have your individual groups.
That's right. We don't want to impede what the individual groups are doing, because the individual groups have worth with what they're doing. We're doing some things in Asheville Buncombe 912 that I think are very important. So here's what we think. That in our meetings, these meetings need to function more or less according to Robert's Rules of Order. In the essence of time, that we needed to create what we called a steering committee. And we felt like this steering committee needed to have between 7 and 9 members to this steering committee. And we felt like the steering committee needed to meet, I'm almost hesitant to say this to you, but because we're so pressed for time, the steering committee needs to meet once a week for the next 4 weeks. And at the end of that time, the steering committee needs to come back to us and give us the flesh for this skeleton that we're giving you today. Now, these steering committees the steering committee can say, as a group, we feel like we need to do whatever that the steering committee thinks is the proper thing for us to do as a coalition of groups. But the steering committee, we talked about these people, and we are open to taking people off or adding people onto the steering committee if that's what you think you need to do. We'll give you a list of names if you say, okay, let's have a steering committee to get us moving forward. What we're trying to do, Christine and I and Carol all think that we should have been doing this last summer. We are not. We are where we are, and we just got to do what we've got to do, being where we are. So we need to move as quickly as we can and move forward as quickly as we can move forward. So if we create a steering committee, we will wind up allowing that steering committee. It'll be a little bit of work for them, but it'll wind up that within a month we ought to have a solid set agenda of things that we can do, and concentrations that we can do, and divisions of labor that we can do, and create whatever committees we need to create, and those kind of things. We ought to be able to, within 4 meetings, we ought to be able to come up with what we need to do. Now let me make a point right here. If we decide to do a steering committee, or in whatever manner we decide to do things, you're going to have to keep in mind that you can't waste effort on things that don't produce a lot of results. You can't do that. We've got to look at the situation overall, and like Christine was saying today, we've got to get somewhere and prop our feet up on the table and talk and think about it, talk and look at what the situation is, and make suggestions and say, no, that's stupid, we don't need to do that, or yeah, I like that, that sounds good. And we need to look at the things that will make the greatest impact in the shortest period of time and give us the loudest voice. We've got to be able to speak louder than what we've been speaking, because heretofore they have not heard us. Let me make a point to you. Everybody know who Rosa Parks is? Okay. What did Rosa Parks do? She went to sit in the front of a bus. Now, we were talking earlier, Rosa Parks could have found a city bus at 2:30 or 3:30 in the morning and snuck onto that thing and sat down on the front of that bus, and she would have had zero impact. What she did was she did the right thing at the wrong time and in the wrong place. And her voice was so loud that it was heard all over the country. And over and over and over and over again, and has been heard ever since. See, nobody ever forgot what that was. So I don't know what we're going to do, but I believe that this 7 or 9 person, we want an odd number, 7 or 9 person steering committee can say, we believe that we need to do these things and head this direction. And we can do it quickly.